And another financial instrument helping the world's poor is microfinance. The concept of lending small amounts of money to those who want to start a business but don't qualify for traditional bank loans was designed by renowned economist Dr. Muhammad Yunus. A Bangladeshi national, Dr. Yunus founded Grameen Bank for the sole purpose of microfinance. And in 2006, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to create global economic and social development. I caught up with Dr. Muhammad Yunus while he was recently in Melbourne. Dr. Muhammad Yunus, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Whitney.
Microfinance for the world's poor was of your design. Can you just tell us the principles on which it operates?
Well, the basic principles of microcredit is very simple. Conventional banks don't go beyond a certain limit of income level. Then the rest of the people in the world are left out from the banking system, and mostly served by the loan sharks in tough life conditions. So what we did, we created a system of banking with the extremely poor people without collateral. It gives small loans to poor people to solve their problems and create income generation. And then particularly focuses on women. For example, we created a bank out of this idea and called it Grameen Bank or Village Bank, and started lending money to the poor women. And today we have 8.5 million borrowers in that bank. 97% of the borrowers are women, and it's owned by the poor people, poor women. So it's a very unique kind of bank, a bank which exclusively focuses on women, exclusively focuses on poor people, and it's owned by the poor people. And that idea, known microcredit, spread all over the world. Today, microcredit works in every single country in the world.
There's been some criticism of microfinance, saying that it perpetuates the cycle of poverty rather than breaking it. What do you say to that criticism?
Well, when you do something new, there are always criticisms. Some are valid criticisms, some are misunderstandings. If you lend money to poor people, and if they can create income-generating practices and enterprises for themselves, that shouldn't be a bad thing to do. And we encourage poor people, poor women to save every week, whatever tiny little money she can save. And that money grows. Today we lend out over $1.5 billion in Bangladesh within Grameen Bank. So that $1.5 billion is in the hands of these poor women. So even if you imagine she doesn't do a good thing about it, but having this money empowers her that she can do something. And she uses this money so that she can pay back. And that's where the repayment record comes. Repayment record is very good. If she didn't benefit from it, she would not pay back, or she couldn't have paid back, and she couldn't get a new loan too. And then she has nearly $1 billion in savings. Forget about the lending part of it. The fact that this is their own money into the bank makes some sense. And then we send the children to school. And we give education loan for these children so that they can continue with their education and go to medical schools, engineering schools, universities. So thousands and thousands of their kids now are very professional people, engineers, doctors, professors, and so on and so forth. So that way, if you look at it totally, I don't think you'll say microcredit is useless. After all, the loan sharks had a thriving business. Those loan sharks can't have a thriving business now because they have very genuine loans from and institutions which is owned by them. So as a concept, you cannot say that. But some people have misused microcredit. They made microcredit to make money for themselves. And when you start looking at yourself as a money maker, then you turn around the microcredit concept to get into the loan sharking business. So that's what the bad part of it. That's what people criticize about. And that's a very genuine criticism. I have been very vocal against them. And I say that's absolutely mission drift, abuse of the word of microcredit.
The Grameen Bank, which you founded, has a focus which many would say is very positive. So why then do you think the finance minister for Bangladesh has made such negative comments and launched investigations to check for irregularities during the time that you were at the bank?
I don't like to comment on it because the more comment I make, more complicated it becomes. So I'll rather not.
So you don't want the opportunity to respond to those comments?
No, not now, because this will be misinterpreted.
Could it be because you've said that you want to go into politics?
No, I don't want to go into politics. I can declare it anytime you want me to do it, 1,000 times.
As As emerging economies become more and more developed, is the need greater or less for something like microfinance?
It's not the question of being developed or not being developed. We run microcredit programs directly by ourselves in New York City. We started in 2008. We have now 5 branches in New York City. We have over 10,000 borrowers in New York City, all women. Average loan is $1,500. And the repayment rate is 99.3%, and no collateral, nothing. And that idea has spread now in Omaha, Nebraska, another branch there, and Indianapolis. And this year is another branch in San Francisco, next one coming up in Detroit. So this is the most the advanced country, or the richest country in the world. This is what the situation is. And there are microcredit programs all over Europe. In France particularly, it's all over France. In Norway, in part of Sweden, in Italy, in Spain, and so on. So it's not the question of whether the country is rich or poor. It's whether people in those countries are poor or not. So, or are the banks serving all the people? If banks are not serving all the people, that's a slice you got where microcredit becomes very important.
Well, that brings me to my next point. Is the demand now increasing in, say, developed countries as we see issues continue to worsen, such as Europe's debt crisis?
Definitely, yes, because people are out of job. Microcredit is about creating self-employment. You create your own job. You don't have to wait for some company to hire you. If you had the money, you'll be in business by yourself. And that's what the women in New York City are doing. They are not waiting for jobs because these are not available. So they go into business for themselves, and they have the skill. And the skill which they never could use because they never had the money. If they had to borrow $500, $1,000 or more, they have to go to the payday lenders. And the payday lenders' interest rate ranges from 100% to 500% to 2,000%. So with that kind of interest rate, you don't go into business. So there's no option. Only we have such a desperate need that you go to the payday lenders knowing very well you have to pay an enormous amount of money in paying back. So you need microfinance. You need the kind of thing that we have developed.
Dr. Muhammad Yunus, thanks for joining the program.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be on your show.